Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Snackbox. Guys, we have some news regarding the CvC progressives from tomorrow. We have a couple of great champions, but before we go over those champions, I just want to point out that this might be a massive bait because we have a couple of good new champions right now, and there is speculation that there might be a guaranteed event for one of those new legendary champions. I'm talking about Tormin's waifu, which is absolutely amazing. Then we also have this new Bannerlord Void legendary champion that might be guaranteed. There's no info on any Yuletide event, on a Titan Path event. We don't know that yet, so maybe you need your shards for those guaranteed champions, but there are also some amazing champions in this progressive. So like I said, if you need to save your shards, or if you want to make sure to grab one of these champions, if they are guaranteed, it's just speculation, then you might want to save up your shards and not go for these progressives. But if you don't care about that, some of these champions are top tier. So on Tuesday, we will have the first progressive event. On both events, we will have actually Unity champions. So Unities are always great, right? And on Tuesday, we have Vitsug the Noxious. He's the Ogryn Unity champion, and he is quite interesting, if you ask me. Might be also usable in some Chimera teams if you pair him with, for example, a Klazak, which is also on this progressive event, right? So those two kind of stand out. Then we also have Stock the Broken, which was a fusion previously and is definitely meta because he makes sure your poisons and HP burns are ignoring block damage, which is kind of a big counter to poisons and HP burn. So very amazing for classic arena and siege teams, for example. Then we have First Axe Tuskor. Not quite sure about that one. Korugar Deathbell, also, I don't know, not so interesting for me personally. And Cross Wallbreaker, which just was the recent fusion. And then, like I said, for Void legendaries, we have Klazak Keyhawk, one of the best Chimera champions, definitely top tier. He enables so many possibilities for you to build a team to get the 25 mats and more. And he's just, amazing across the board. Doesn't matter where you use him, he will be great. Only in arena, he might not be so good. Then we have Grazur, kind of, got power crept a little bit. And Diamond Copper Coin, not so sure about this one. Then on Wednesday, we will have Falmond Mornsword, the Sacred Order Unity champion, is also pretty interesting. Then we have Vaultkeeper Wixwell, still, one of the meta champions for the Titus teams. Archbishop Pintroy, very underrated for Chimera. He brings block buffs, increased defense, shield, and also transfers debuffs with his A1, so actually pretty interesting. Corvus the Corruptor, kind of must-have for one of the Faction Wars conditions. Makes it so easy to get that 10 debuff condition done. And Martyr, also one of the oldest counterattack champions we have in the game. Then Cardiel, pretty solid champion as well. Can cleanse, block debuffs, revive on death, ally attack, heals. He does a lot of things and has also a pretty interesting passive, but also got kind of power crept. Then we have Sir Nicholas, which just recently got a buff, right? And is so much better now with Noel. Very, very strong now. And Venus. All right, now I want to highlight a few of those. Let's go over the kids and talk about them a little bit. First, we're going to start with Vitsug, the Noxious. Absolutely amazing champion. If you ask me, when you look at him at first, he might not be that great, but he definitely provides some things that you want in Chimera. For example, he has this poison HP burn activation on his A1. It's a 50% chance, but still, right? If you pair him with a Klazak that, provides counterattack and transfers debuffs, you can do this poison trial. Theoretically, it's a little bit RNG heavy because this A1 needs to trigger the activation. But still, if you have Klazak placed in your team at first, he will transfer the debuffs. Vitsug goes afterwards, activates the poisons. This can be quite interesting. Then you also have poisons and HP burn from his A2. 100% chance to place it, free turn cooldown. And he provides increased accuracy and increased speed if you pair him with one faction ally. With two faction allies, he's increasing the duration of all enemy debuffs by 2 turns, quite interesting. And with 3 faction allies, he heals all allies by 5% of this champion's max HP and heals them by additional 2% for every enemy debuff that has its duration increased and every allied debuff that has its duration decreased by this skill. So he's increasing enemy debuffs and decreasing ally debuffs, kind of a budget cleanse if you want to say so. But increasing enemy debuffs by 2 turns is quite amazing. And this is where it gets really interesting because each ally's accuracy will be increased by 10 for each HP burn and poison debuff on the enemy team. And if you pair him with 3 faction allies, maybe at some point we can do that. We have a few champions that are really amazing in Chimera from the Ogryn faction. We have Gizmak, we have Klazak, and if you have 3 faction allies, so theoretically there's one more missing. With 3 faction allies, the HP, burn, and poison debuffs placed by allies cannot be removed, stolen, or transferred. That means the Viper form won't get rid of those poisons, right? Because normally every time the Viper form takes a turn, it would get rid of the poisons. But with 3 faction allies, those poisons are protected and cannot be removed, stolen, or transferred, and that means the poison will tick and stay on the Viper. So yeah, overall, very interesting champion. All battles ally HP, aura 30%, and for the Ogryns 15% speed. Pretty interesting. If we get one more solid Ogryn for Chimera, there might be, a chance to build a full Ogryn team, which would be absolutely amazing if you ask me. Now, the second one that I want to highlight is also from the Ogryns, and they kind of work pretty well together. Vitsuk and Klazak Keyhulk. So Klazak is, like I said, one of the best Chimera champions that we have right now in the game. He enables different comps to get the 25 mats. Normally there was only Fina plus Gedathier, but now with Klazak there are way more teams to get the job done, and he does so many things. He has a true fear on A1. He transfers all debuffs from this champion to the target before the attack. None of his debuffs can be resisted if you fight a boss, which is absolutely amazing. That means you don't have to build him with accuracy. He's placing decreased defense, weaken, decrease accuracy, decrease resistance, counterattack, unkillable. This is crazy. And on top of that, he can also deal damage, which is based on enemy max HP. Whenever this champion places a debuff on an enemy, deals damage equal to 1% of their max HP for each debuff they are currently under. So not only can he provide all the debuffs and buffs, he can also deal damage, which is a huge game changer because you have all these roles inside of one champion. And there are not a lot of champions that can provide a decreased resistance debuff and that can do other things that are also useful. So most of the time people use somebody like a Gedathier, or a Balar. And then there's this guy now that also does so many other things at the same time. Absolutely beast of a champion for Chimera and for every other PvE content out there. Absolutely amazing. And then we also have Stock, and like I said, his passive is enabling HP burns and poisons against block damage and unkillable buffs, which is a huge counter to those debuffs. And it just makes easier to get rid of those Marichka teams and Neve teams and so on. So yeah, if you weren't able to get the fusion and you're an endgame player and you have, let's say, Vulcanos and Nail and all these other components that you need to build a viable comp, he's definitely, one of the champions that you want to have. Now for Wednesday, we have the Sacred Order Unity champion, Falmund. I would say this is one of the weaker Unity champions, even though for Siege teams, this one is still pretty good. You have this passive which denies any cooldown increasing effect, so all your allies are immune to cooldown increasing effects if you have 3 faction allies, which is the case for Sacred Order Siege teams, right? And that is a pretty good counter to Alice, for example, which is able to put your skills on cooldown. and can definitely win the fight. So if you have him in your team, you're safe from that cooldown increasing effect. Then next up, we have Wixwell, you know, one of the most wanted champions for Titus teams. Pretty amazing, right? For Hydra, an absolute beast. Also for the Demon Lord clan boss and just in general for PvE content. Absolutely amazing. Has his provoke on the A1 so we can keep the Head of Decay provoked. Keeps increasing the shields and increasing the duration of your buffs. And that way your buffs won't fall off. So yeah, if you don't have one and you have a Titus, you definitely want a Wixwell in that team. Even though there are some other options, you can use a Brogni, for example. And then there's also the Panda from Skinwalkers. He can also increase the value of any shield buffs. Wixwell is definitely by far the best. And then the next one I want to highlight is Sir Nicholas. With the recent rebalance, he's absolutely amazing. Now he's ignoring 30% of each target's defense if Lady Noelle is on the same team. So if you have Lady Noelle and not Sir Nicholas, you might want to get one because he's pretty strong now if you pair him with Lady Noelle. Lady Noelle is also very strong on her own, but now paired with Sir Nicholas is even stronger than before. It was already kind of strong, but now it is even better because if Lady Noelle is on the same team, he also places a taunt buff on him. He places counterattack on himself. He's kind of a little bit selfish with his buffs, but that's fine because he places the unkillable and continuous heals on all allies. And this is activated every time Lady Noelle uses the cleanse on him and so on. So you can keep the unkillable up almost at all times. Also, his passive is pretty amazing, makes it really, really tanky because enemy ignore defense effects used against allies under shield buffs are decreased by 30%, and enemy ignore defense effects used against Lady Noelle while she's under a shield buff are decreased by 60%. So if you bring in a bolster, high resistance Lady Noelle, and you keep that shield up, he's also placing a shield buff by himself. You know, it's a pretty tanky team. And on top of that, if he counterattacks, he has a 100% chance to place this freeze. You don't need to build him with accuracy with Lady Noelle on the team because this debuff cannot be blocked or resisted. And that is the key word. It cannot be blocked as well. Pretty damn amazing. So yeah, overall, I would say there are amazing champions in this progressive event. But keep in mind, guys, there might be a guaranteed event at some point, maybe even before the next year. Maybe we'll get a Deck of Fate event. Maybe we will need soul stones for that. Maybe there will be a hero spaff. Who knows what's coming next? Everything can happen. So if you don't have a lot of shards and you want to make sure that you can take part in any guaranteed event that is potentially coming up, then don't fall for these progressive events. If you are wailing out and you want to get Klazak, then I can totally understand that. This is actually the second time that we get a progressive event for Klazak. Last time I wailed a little bit and I got like 3 Void Legendaries, but it was not Klazak, so I don't know if I'm going for him this time. I also only have 35 Void Shards. He would definitely make my life very easy or easier in Chimera, but yeah, progressive events can backfire and who knows. I don't know, I have to make up my mind. Maybe I will go for him, but I'm not sure yet. And yeah. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Also keep in mind, tomorrow is the personal reward CvC, right? So you might want to delay all your fusion activities for tomorrow so you can get extra points. The gear enhancement event, right? And the tournaments and so on. You want to get those extra points for tomorrow for the CvC to make sure you grab those juicy personal rewards. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please smash that like button. It really goes a long way. Also, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more raid content. The YouTube algorithm is going to suggest you a video that you might like right here. And see you in the next one.